In a small but vibrant community nestled on the outskirts of a bustling town, a young woman named Chidinma decided to pursue her dream, opening her very own hair salon. With the little savings she had, she rented a modest shop by the roadside, painted it in bright, welcoming colors, and named it Chidinma's Touch. At first, things were slow. She would sit by the door, watching people pass by, praying that one or two would walk in. But gradually, things began to change. Her first few customers left smiling and soon started bringing their friends. Within weeks, people from neighboring communities began trooping in. Chidinma's salon became a buzz, known not only for beautiful hairstyles, but for warm service, neatness, and creative hair designs that were hard to find elsewhere. Her popularity grew so fast that other salon owners couldn't help but notice. Salons that had been in business for years began losing customers to Chidinma. Some who had never even heard her name were now hearing it daily from customers who kept saying, "Go to Chidinma's shop, she's really good." It didn't take long before whispers started flying around. "Something is not right," said Madame Titi, who had run a salon for over a decade. "How can someone who just opened be taking all the customers like this?" Others agreed. Some started believing Chidinma must be using juju, charms, or spiritual powers to attract customers. It became the talk of the community. Some people stopped going there out of fear, but even more came out of curiosity. And when they did, they were often amazed by the results. Salon owners, who once did things on their own, now began working together. They formed a union of hairstylists in the community. Their first agreement? No one should go near Chidinma or speak to her. She was now considered the enemy of progress. They decided to hold a meeting that weekend to discuss their next move. On the agreed day, they gathered in an empty hall near the community center. After much argument, they conducted an emergency election, and Angela, a bold and experienced hairstylist, was elected as their chairlady. Angela stood up confidently and addressed the group. "Thank you all for your trust," she began. "We formed this union because things are getting out of hand. We are losing customers. Some of us have not even made money this month, and it's all because of Chidinma." There were murmurs of agreement. "She must be stopped," Angela continued. "We cannot sit and watch our businesses crumble. We will find out what she's doing, whether it's juju or some secret strategy. And when we do, we will find a way to win our customers back and protect our own." The members clapped in support. The meeting ended with more discussions and plans to investigate Chidinma and take action. Everyone left with a mix of determination and bitterness. The association held another meeting, and they concluded they will protest and insist that Chidinma must close her shop, park, and leave the community. They said they will first of all report Chidinma to the king ruling the community. They will tell the king that Chidinma is diabolical, that she has taken all their customers away from them. They all concluded that plan. The following day, they all stormed the king's palace and reported Chidinma to the king. They told the king and his cabinet that Chidinma is using juju to snatch all their customers. They pleaded with the king to chase Chidinma away from the community. The king said that before he does that, he will hear from Chidinma first. The king summoned Chidinma, and Chidinma came immediately. The king told her the allegations the hairstylists are laying against her. She broke down in tears and explained to the king that she is not using any juju, that it's grace. She told king that it's the grace that was following her mother when she was alive that is following her. She pleaded with the hairstylist to forgive her, that she will be telling some people coming to her shop to go to other places so they can be getting customers. But the association in unison said no, that Chidinma must leave the community. The king pleaded with them to pardon Chidinma that she wasn't forcing people coming to her shop to come. The king told them to come back after 3 days, that he will meet with the council and tell them if he will send Chidinma out of the community, that he will investigate the accusation of using juju and tell them what he find out in 2 days' time. The 3 days that followed felt like 3 years to Chidinma. She barely ate. Sleep became a stranger, and her once lively shop now felt like a shadow of itself. Even though her loyal customers still trooped in, she couldn't hide the fear and tension that gripped her heart. She wondered what kind of investigation the king would carry out, and what outcome would follow. She knew she was innocent, but sometimes innocence alone is not enough in a world filled with envy and malice. Meanwhile, the Hairstylists Association intensified their campaign. They went around the community spreading more rumors about Chidinma. Some said they had seen a strange pot buried behind her shop. Others swore they once heard voices coming from her salon at midnight. The lies multiplied like wildfire, poisoning more minds. On the 3rd day, the king summoned everyone back to the palace. His guards stood tall and firm at the entrance. The king's palace was crowded. People from all over the community had come to witness the judgment, some out of curiosity, others out of support, and some hoping Chidinma would be humiliated. The king sat on his throne, flanked by his chiefs. He raised his staff, and silence descended. "I have listened to both sides," the king began. "I sent my men to investigate the accusations. They visited Chidinma's shop unannounced several times. They searched the premises, questioned her staff, and even spoke with some of her customers." He paused, then continued. "They found nothing diabolical. No pots, no charms, no strange activity, nothing. Instead, they found cleanliness, professionalism, and kindness. Customers spoke of how respectful and skilled Chidinma and her assistants are. Many said they preferred her service because of how she treated them, not because of any juju." The murmurs began to rise in the crowd, but the king raised his staff again, and everywhere went silent. Let me say this clearly. Chidinma is not guilty of using juju. She is guilty of excellence. And in this community, we do not punish people for doing well. We should celebrate success, not destroy it. The king turned to the association members. "You are all women. Some of you are mothers. How would you feel if your daughter worked hard, struggled to build something from nothing, and people conspired to pull her down because she succeeded?" Shame slowly crawled over the faces of the hairstylists. Some lowered their heads. Others avoided Chidinma's eyes. "Therefore," the king declared, "Chidinma will not leave this community. Instead, I encourage you all to learn from her. Improve your customer service, clean your shops, upgrade your skills. Let her success challenge you to grow, not make you bitter." There was silence for a moment, then slowly, a few people in the crowd started clapping. The applause grew louder. Chidinma, still in tears, knelt down and thanked the king. "I forgive everyone," she said, her voice shaking. "I just want to live in peace and do my work." The king nodded with approval. That is the spirit of true strength. As the crowd began to disperse, the hairstylists walked away quietly, some still murmuring, others deep in thought. Chidinma's dignity was not only restored, it was strengthened. From that day, more people respected her, not just for her skill, but for the grace and humility she carried, even in the face of betrayal. After the king's verdict, Chidinma returned to her shop with her head held high. Though the experience had shaken her deeply, she chose to move on with grace. She reopened the shop the very next morning, and it was like nothing had happened. Customers continued to flood in, old, new, and even some who had stayed away during the crisis now returned, apologizing and praising her strength. Business boomed like never before. Her workers were cheerful, and Chidinma even began mentoring 2 young girls who had shown interest in hairstyling. Everything was going well again, but not for everyone. The association, now burning with envy and rage, held another emergency meeting. They could no longer stomach the sight of Chidinma thriving while their shops remained nearly empty. They cursed the king for being too soft and vowed to take matters into their own hands. "If the king won't eject her," one of them shouted, "we will." The women clapped and cheered in agreement. They devised a wicked plan. They assigned one of their own, Aduni, a cunning and sharp-eyed woman, to monitor Chidinma. Her duty was to track Chidinma's every move, what time she opened, who visited her shop, how long they stayed, and when she closed. But the worst part of their plan came toward the end of the meeting. "We will burn that shop down," their leader said coldly. "Once the shop is gone, Chidinma will have no choice but to leave this town in shame. Let's see if Grace will save her then." They all nodded in dark agreement, not knowing they were walking into a spiritual trap. Unknown to them, Chidinma had traveled quietly after the king's judgment to a small village where her aged mother lived. She knelt before the old woman and poured out her heart. Her mother listened in silence, her eyes sharp and wise. After a long pause, she stood up, entered her room, and returned with a small, ancient-looking mirror wrapped in white cloth. "Take this mirror," her mother said. "Place it in your shop, but warn your workers. No one must use it to admire themselves. This is not an ordinary mirror. It will show you anyone who enters that place with evil intentions. It will expose the thoughts and the true face of your enemies, no matter how they disguise themselves." Chidinma received it with trembling hands. "Thank you, Mama." She returned to town and quietly placed the mirror in a corner of her shop, just beside the big curtain separating the main salon from the back room. She covered it lightly with a lace cloth and only uncovered it when she was alone. She also gathered her workers and warned them. "This mirror is not for checking how your hair looks," she said. "It's not for selfies or for any kind of play. It is for protection. Please do not touch it or allow any customer to use it." Her workers nodded, sensing something powerful was at work. From that day, everything changed. The first sign came the next evening. A Duni, sent by the association to spy, entered the shop, pretending to want to make inquiries. Chidinma, pretending not to know anything, welcomed her warmly. But as Aduni sat, her reflection appeared in the mirror, and what Chidinma saw sent chills down her spine. Aduni's face in the mirror was not the smiling one that sat in front of her. It was twisted with malice, her eyes red like burning coal, and behind her stood a shadowy figure with a smoking torch. Chidinma calmly excused herself, walked to the back, and whispered to one of her workers to watch Aduni closely. She then returned and continued smiling, but her heart was burning with righteous anger. From that day on, the mirror revealed more faces, more plots, and more dark intentions. But Chidinma kept her calm. She knew she had to act wisely because the storm was far from over. From the very first day Chidinma placed the mirror in her shop, she obeyed her mother's instruction faithfully. Every morning by 4 a.m., she would quietly leave her house, enter her shop in the dark, uncover the mirror, and sit before it. Day after day, she stared at the mirror for 30 long minutes. At first, nothing appeared, just her own tired reflection staring back at her. Some mornings she wondered if the mirror was even working, but she remembered her mother's words, "Be patient. The spirit of the mirror reveals only when the time is right." Then it happened. On the 7th morning, at exactly 4:15 a.m., as she stared quietly at the mirror, it began to glow faintly, as though a light was flickering inside it. Chidinma leaned in, and slowly an image appeared. She saw Aduni and a few other members of the association seated around a fire at the back of someone's house, whispering. She watched in horror as they passed around a small bottle of palm oil, poured it on a piece of cloth, and tied it to a thick stick. One of them, a woman Chidinma recognized as Jumoke, said clearly, "Tomorrow night we go. By midnight her shop will be ashes. That's the only way she'll leave this town." Chidinma screamed and fell backwards from the stool. Tears streamed down her face. She couldn't believe it. They were really going to do it. They wanted to end her. Not just destroy her business, but her life, her dream, everything she had built with sweat and prayer. Without wasting time, she picked up her phone and ran straight to the king's palace in the early morning darkness. By the time she arrived, the sun had barely started to rise. She didn't wait for protocol. She rushed in, knelt before the king, and broke down in tears. "My king, please help me. They want to burn my shop. They want to destroy me." The king was shocked. "What are you saying, Chidinma? That matter has already been settled. No one dares to go against my final word in this land." Chidinma sobbed harder. "Your Majesty, I am begging you. I have no father. I have no brother. My mother is old. I worked so hard to build that salon. Why do they want to burn it? What did I do to deserve this?" The king narrowed his eyes. "Who told you this? Give me the name of the person so I can summon them here to speak before me." Chidinma panicked. She couldn't possibly reveal the mirror. Her mother warned her never to expose the truth behind it. "Please, my king," she said softly, "don't worry about who told me. But I am certain of what I'm saying. I'm not guessing. I know what I saw." The king stared at her long and hard. He finally called his guards. "Go and summon Aduni, the chairlady of the New Hairstylists Association." The guards bowed and left immediately. Back in her house, Aduni was eating yam and egg when the king's guards arrived. When she heard she had been summoned to the palace concerning Chidinma, her spoon dropped. Her heart raced. "What? How? Who told her? I told those women not to say anything to anyone. Which of them betrayed me?" She dressed quickly and followed the guards. By the time she arrived at the palace, she was sweating. When she saw Chidinma seated by the king's feet, she exhaled sharply. The king motioned for her to sit. Then he turned to Chidinma. "Repeat what you said." Chidinma, still in tears, looked at Aduni with pain in her eyes. "I did not wrong anyone. I only opened my shop and tried to survive. It's grace that brought people to me. I don't chase customers from other shops. I don't speak badly of anyone. I only focus on my work." She paused, wiping her face. "I said the same thing during the last case. I begged them to forgive me if I had unknowingly offended them. I even offered to share my customers. I'm not a witch. I'm not diabolical. I don't want to take over the whole community, so why are they now planning to burn down my shop at midnight tomorrow? Why do they want to destroy my life?" The king's eyes immediately turned to Aduni. "Aduni," he said sternly, "is there truth in what Chidinma is saying?" Aduni's lips trembled. She tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come. The king stood up. "I give you one last chance to speak. If I find out she is telling the truth and you are lying, the consequences will be beyond what you can imagine. Chidinma did something shocking. You won't believe it until you see it. Like, comment and subscribe now so you don't miss the jaw-dropping moment in part 2. Guess what she did below? Turn on notifications. This is one story you can't skip.